My ex lied about her pregnancy for attention, so I let everyone believe her story until she was publicly exposed by the truth she feared most. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I used to believe love could fix broken people. I guess that's what made me fall for Amber in the first place. She was beautiful in a way that made you forget common sense. I met her at a mutual friend's birthday party. She had this magnetic energy, eyes that looked like they'd seen too much, a laugh that felt like freedom, and a sadness she wore like perfume. When she talked to me, it felt like the room disappeared. By the end of the night, we were sitting outside under string lights talking about everything from childhood dreams to heartbreak. She told me about her rough past, absent father, manipulative exes, people who never really loved her for who she was. I remember thinking, I'll be different. I'll show her what real love looks like. That's the kind of guy I was, naively romantic, always trying to heal others. The first few months were straight out of a movie. We took late-night drives with music blasting through open windows, left each other handwritten notes, and made promises that felt unbreakable. Amber would say things like, "You're the only one who really sees me," and I believed it because I wanted to. But as time went on, her intensity shifted. The same passion that drew me in started burning from both ends. She'd get jealous over texts from female coworkers or go silent for hours when I didn't respond fast enough. When I gently pointed it out, she'd cry, real, heavy sobs, and say, "Everyone leaves me. Please don't be like them." Every argument ended with me apologizing, even when I hadn't done anything wrong. Still, I convinced myself this was what love looked like. Messy, consuming, dramatic. I didn't realize yet that I wasn't in love with Amber. I was in love with the idea of saving her, and that mistake would cost me more than I ever imagined. At first, I thought our relationship just needed time to settle, that once the newness wore off, the chaos would calm. But instead, Amber started living for the image of us, not the reality. Every small moment had to be captured, filtered, and posted online. She'd spend hours crafting captions like, "Find someone who never gives up on you." The irony burned because, behind those posts, we were arguing over things as stupid as me liking a friend's photo. One night, I asked her why everything needed to go online. She stared at me with that practiced sadness and said, "You don't get it. I'm trying to show the world I finally have something real." I wanted to believe her, but it wasn't about love anymore. It was about validation. I'd come home from work to find her scrolling through comments, watching the likes climb as if each one could fill a hole inside her that I never could. The arguments got sharper. I'd say, "Amber, we don't need to prove anything to anyone." And she'd snap back, "Easy for you to say. You've always been liked. People believe you." That line stuck with me. It felt less like she was talking to me and more like she was fighting ghosts from her past. My friends started pulling away. They said she had a weird control thing over me, and maybe they were right. If someone texted me while we were together, she'd demand to see my phone. Once, at a dinner party, she accused me of flirting with a waitress because I said, "Thank you," too nicely. Everyone laughed awkwardly, but her glare could have sliced glass. After that, I stopped inviting people over. It was easier to isolate than to keep defending her behavior. Our relationship became a quiet performance for the outside world. A highlight reel on social media masking a house built on guilt, eggshells, and denial. And I didn't know it then, but Amber's hunger for attention was just getting started. And soon she'd find a way to make the whole world watch. By the time our one-year anniversary rolled around, I was exhausted. Every day felt like a test I didn't know the rules to. If I said the wrong thing, Amber would go cold for hours. If I didn't react enough, she'd accuse me of not caring. But the breaking point came over something so small. It almost felt ridiculous at first. She told me she'd been feeling sick for days. And when I suggested she take the day off work, she snapped, "You don't care about me." Later, I found out through a friend that she'd been perfectly fine. She just wanted to skip work because she didn't feel like going. When I confronted her, she twisted it around, saying, "So now I can't even be honest about how I feel. You're just like everyone else." I remember standing there, watching her cry in the middle of the living room and feeling nothing but numb. That's when it hit me. I wasn't her partner anymore. I was her audience. I told her quietly, "Amber, I can't do this anymore." She froze. Her tears stopped instantly, replaced by a look I'll never forget. Cold, calculating disbelief. "You're not leaving me," she said. It didn't sound like a plea. It sounded like a threat. The next week was chaos. She flooded my phone with messages, some apologetic, some furious. "You ruined me. You'll regret this. Please, I love you. Just talk to me." When I didn't answer, she started showing up outside my apartment, waiting in her car. I called a friend to come over once, just so I wouldn't be alone. He said, "Man, she's not okay. You need to block her and move on." So I did. I blocked her everywhere. Calls, texts, social media. The silence afterward felt heavy, almost unreal. I thought it was over. I thought that was the end of our story. But I was wrong. That silence wasn't peace. It was the pause before the storm. It had been about a month since I'd heard from Amber. I was finally starting to feel normal again. Sleeping through the night. Seeing friends. Remembering what it felt like to breathe without tension in my chest. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text from a mutual friend. "Dude, is it true? Amber's pregnant?" I just stared at my phone for a full minute, rereading the message like my brain couldn't process it. Pregnant? My stomach dropped. I hadn't spoken to her in weeks, and we hadn't been together for longer than that. It didn't make sense. I pulled up her social media, and there it was. A photo of a positive pregnancy test, perfectly lit, with a caption that made my blood run cold. "Sometimes love doesn't last, but responsibility does. Doing this alone, but stronger than ever." The comments were a storm of sympathy and outrage. "You deserve better." "He's trash." "Single moms are warriors." People tagged me directly in the comments, asking if I planned to step up. I felt the world tilt beneath me. I hadn't done anything, but suddenly I was branded the villain in someone else's story. I tried calling her, straight to voicemail. I sent one text. "Amber, this isn't true. Please stop." She didn't reply. Instead, she posted a story hours later, just a photo of her holding her stomach with the caption, "When the father wants nothing to do with you." By the next morning, it wasn't just online drama. It was real. My coworkers looked at me differently. My mom called, her voice trembling, asking, "Is it true? Are you going to be a father?" I tried explaining, but even she sounded unsure. "Just make sure she's okay," she said. That's when I realized Amber didn't just want my attention. She wanted control. And now she had the perfect weapon to get it. The next few days were a nightmare. Everywhere I went, it felt like eyes followed me. Coworkers whispering, friends avoiding eye contact, even family members acting distant. I couldn't open social media without seeing my name dragged through the mud. Amber had painted herself as the innocent, abandoned mother-to-be, and me as the heartless man who walked away. The lie spread faster than I could react. Finally, I snapped and texted her again. "Amber, stop this. You're not pregnant. I know you're lying." She replied within seconds. "You'll regret calling me a liar. I'm done being your secret." That one message made my chest tighten with something between anger and fear. She wasn't just lying. She was daring me to challenge her story. I reached out to one of her close friends, Jenna, hoping she'd confirm what I already suspected. Instead, she said coldly, "Maybe if you hadn't treated her so badly, she wouldn't be going through this alone." Every word felt like a punch. Somehow, Amber had already poisoned the well. Even people who knew me were convinced I was the villain. I tried logic, pointing out timelines, showing proof of when we'd broken up, but people didn't care. The emotional narrative she'd built was too powerful. Everyone wanted to believe the sad, brave single mom over the man denying his responsibility. My own mom even said, "Just don't make it worse. If there's even a chance it's yours, you should help her." That night, I sat in my car, parked outside my apartment, scrolling through her posts. She was posting about doctor appointments, about feeling the baby kick, about learning to be strong. None of it made sense, but I realized something chilling. She wasn't trying to convince me. She was convincing everyone else. And if I pushed back too hard, I'd look like the monster she'd already made me out to be. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, Amber raised the stakes. One morning, I woke up to dozens of missed calls and texts. Friends, coworkers, even my boss. My heart pounded as I opened my phone. Amber had posted a sonogram, a crisp, clear image of an ultrasound, with a caption that said, "For everyone doubting me, here's proof. He knows this is his, but he doesn't care." And she tagged me. It spread like wildfire. My notifications exploded with comments calling me a coward, a deadbeat, a disgrace. People from college I hadn't spoken to in years messaged me things like, "Man, just do the right thing." My company's HR even called me in, citing concerns about my personal conduct, after the post started circulating among co-workers. I sat in that meeting numb, explaining through gritted teeth that it was all a lie. But in their eyes, I could see it. They didn't believe me either. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at that sonogram photo over and over. Something about it felt off. The clinic name was slightly blurred, and the date didn't match the timeline she claimed. My brain started connecting dots. Amber had lied about being sick before. She'd lied about people hurting her. Why not this? I decided to test my gut. The next morning, I called the clinic listed on the image. I pretended to be confirming an appointment for Amber Collins. The receptionist paused, typed for a while, then said, "I'm sorry, sir. There's no record of that name here." My hands were shaking as I hung up. It wasn't just a suspicion anymore. She'd forged it. She was so deep in her lie that she'd faked medical documents to keep it alive. I should have felt relieved, but I didn't. I felt something colder. Fear. Because if she was willing to fabricate an entire pregnancy, then she wasn't just unstable. She was dangerous, and part of me knew she wasn't done yet, not by a long shot. After that call with the clinic, everything inside me shifted. I stopped trying to defend myself. Every time I'd spoken up before, it had only made her look more like the victim. So I decided to do something different. Stay quiet, watch, and gather proof. If she wanted a show, I'd let her perform. I'd just make sure the audience saw the truth when the curtain finally fell. I started collecting everything. Screenshots of her posts, timestamps that didn't match, even old messages where she talked about pretending to be pregnant as a joke months earlier. I created a private folder and shared it with one trusted friend, Eric, who had seen the chaos firsthand. When I told him about the fake sonogram, his eyes widened. "You're playing with fire, man," he said. "She's not going to stop until she gets burned." Meanwhile, Amber doubled down on the fantasy. She started posting baby bump selfies, talking about cravings and morning sickness and sharing photos of nursery setups. She even hosted a small gender reveal event, complete with balloons and cake, inviting mutual friends, but of course not me. People posted pictures, tagging her with captions like, "Strongest woman I know." It made my blood boil, but I kept my silence. Every lie she told became another piece of evidence for the day she'd trap herself in her own web. Eric suggested going public early, but I shook my head. "Not yet," I told him. "I want her to believe she's won." Because that's the thing about people like Amber. They get careless when they think they're untouchable. So I smiled through the whispers, ignored the pitying looks, and waited. I wasn't just defending myself anymore. I was building something bigger, a quiet revenge that wouldn't need me to scream or explain. She wanted an audience. I'd give her one, just not the kind she expected. I thought I was prepared for anything, but nothing could have readied me for what came next. A few weeks after her gender reveal, I woke up to dozens of messages, friends, coworkers, even my mom, all saying the same thing: "Congratulations." Confused, I opened social media and froze. Amber had posted a picture of a newborn baby, a perfectly filtered photo of her child, wrapped in a pink blanket, captioned, "After a long, painful delivery, she's finally here. Welcome to the world, my little miracle." The comments exploded instantly. Thousands of likes, hundreds of congratulations, and once again, a flood of people tagging me. Some even wrote, "Maybe now he'll finally do the right thing." My stomach twisted. It wasn't just a lie anymore. It was a complete alternate reality she'd built, and somehow, people were buying it. I sat on my couch for hours, scrolling through every detail. That photo wasn't hers. It couldn't be. The lighting, the framing, even the background looked like something from a professional parenting blog. And that's when I realized she had stolen it. She'd literally taken someone else's baby photo and passed it off as her own. But the real hit came when my mom called, sobbing. "Why didn't you tell me she was in labor?" She cried. "I could have been there to help." I had to sit there swallowing guilt and fury, telling my own mother that the baby wasn't real. She didn't believe me. Nobody did. That night I hit my lowest point. I turned off my phone, shut the curtains, and sat in silence. The weight of being falsely condemned, humiliated, and powerless crushed me completely. I wasn't angry anymore. I was broken. And that's when the message came in. It was from an unknown number. Just 3 words. "You need proof." The message came from an unknown number, but the moment I saw the follow-up text, I knew exactly who it was, Amber's old roommate, Lena. We hadn't spoken in months, not since Amber accused her of being jealous and moved out suddenly. Her next text said, "I know the baby's fake. I have proof. You deserve to see it. We met the next day at a small cafe downtown." Lena looked nervous, constantly checking over her shoulder. She slid her phone across the table, and my heart started pounding as I scrolled through the files, screenshots of Amber messaging her during the supposed pregnancy, conversations about borrowing photos from a mom's lifestyle blog, editing metadata, and using filters to make them look new. There were even drafts of captions like, "My brave little fighter," and "Doing this alone, but proud." "She's been using stolen photos for months," Lena said, voice low. "She's obsessed with attention. It's not about you anymore. It's about control." I sat there silent, staring at the screen as relief and rage collided inside me. Finally, I had proof. Hard, undeniable proof. But I didn't want to expose her in anger. I wanted to end it in a way that couldn't be twisted, denied, or spun for sympathy. I wanted the truth to destroy the lie, not me. So I began crafting the plan carefully. I backed up every file, screenshot, and timestamp, creating a timeline that connected every inconsistency. Fake sonogram, fake baby bump, stolen photos, false clinic name. Then I noticed something that made me pause. Amber had been hinting about a special live stream for her followers, a 1-month baby celebration. That was it. The perfect moment. The audience she'd built on lies would finally see her for what she really was. I looked at Lena and said quietly, "She wanted a public story. Let's give her one she'll never forget." The night of Amber's baby celebration felt eerily calm, like the world was holding its breath. I sat at my desk with my laptop open, watching her livestream countdown tick down on social media. My hands hovered over the mouse, the folder of evidence ready. Every message, photo, and forged document neatly organized. Eric was on a call with me, voice steady but tense. "Once it's live," he said, "there's no going back." "I know," I replied. "That's the point." The screen flickered and there she was. Amber, smiling wide, sitting in front of pastel balloons and pink decorations. She was glowing with the confidence of someone who thought she'd won. Comments flooded in instantly. "So proud of you. You're an inspiration. Single mom power." The same chorus of blind support that had crushed me for months. She basked in it, thanking everyone for believing in her when others didn't. I waited until her view count peaked. Then, with one deep breath, I hit upload. Within seconds, her chat started shifting. People began linking my post, a carefully written statement with all the evidence, screenshots, clinic confirmations, the original blog where she'd stolen baby photos. I didn't attack her. I didn't insult her. I just wrote, "For those who want the truth, here it is." I stayed silent because lies don't need help spreading. Truth does. The comments turned from hearts to horror. "Wait, this isn't her baby. That photo's from another site. What the hell, Amber?" Her smile faltered as confusion spread. She scrolled through the flood of links, her eyes darting off screen. The mask cracked in real time. Her voice trembled, her excuses stumbled, and then she abruptly ended the stream. Eric whispered, "Holy hell, you did it, but I didn't celebrate." Watching her crumble wasn't satisfying. It was surreal. Months of humiliation, disbelief, and isolation condensed into one silent moment of truth. And just like that, the story she built on my name finally burned to the ground. By morning, the internet had turned on Amber. The same people who once worshipped her were now tearing her apart. Her posts were flooded with comments demanding explanations, screenshots, receipts, rage. Some accused her of scamming donations she'd accepted for the baby. Others tagged the real mother whose photo she'd stolen. Within 24 hours, Amber's accounts were locked and her follower count plummeted like a rock. I didn't post again. I didn't need to. The truth had its own gravity now. It didn't need me to push it anymore. Still, the fallout reached everyone around us. Mutual friends texted me apologies, each one dripping with guilt. Jenna, the same friend who'd called me a monster, wrote, "I'm so sorry. I can't believe I ever doubted you." I didn't reply. Some betrayals don't deserve closure. Amber tried damage control, of course. She posted one last story before deleting everything. A shaky video, tears streaking her makeup, saying she was mentally unwell and had made mistakes out of loneliness. But the public had already made up its mind. Sympathy turned to disgust. Her sponsors dropped her, her family stopped defending her, and the people who once called her brave now called her a fraud. And yet, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt empty. For months, she had shaped my life into a nightmare, and now that it was over, I realized how much of myself I'd lost fighting it. I'd spent so long defending my truth that I forgot what peace even sounded like. That night, I scrolled through her final post one last time. The comments were brutal, some justified, some cruel. I closed my laptop, leaned back, and exhaled for what felt like the first time in a year. Justice had finally found her, but I was still figuring out what to do with my freedom. Months passed before I truly felt human again. The noise died down, the gossip faded, and for the first time in a long time I could walk into a room without feeling like everyone already knew a story about me. I moved to a smaller city, started fresh at a new job, and deleted every trace of my old social media. I didn't want to relive what had happened. I just wanted silence. Real, unfiltered silence. Sometimes, though, memories hit me when I least expect them, like hearing a certain song we used to play in the car, or catching a glimpse of a stranger who wears her perfume. But instead of anger, all I feel now is distance, like those moments belong to someone else. The man who begged to be believed is gone. The man who no longer needs to prove anything. That's who I am now. One night, months later, a message appeared in my filtered inbox. It was from Amber. Just one line. "You ruined my life." I stared at it for a long time. There was a time when that message would have broken me, would have sent me into spirals of guilt and overthinking. But not anymore. I typed one short reply. "No, Amber, you did." Then I hit block and felt nothing but calm. That was the moment I realized closure doesn't always come with apologies or explanations. Sometimes it's just the quiet after a storm, the kind that doesn't need words to feel final. Now, when people talk about the power of truth, I think about how fragile it looks in the beginning, how easily it can be buried under lies. But in the end, truth always finds air. It doesn't shout, it waits. And when it finally rises, it's louder than any rumor could ever be.